I'm back. All three children sleeping simultaneously, so we're going to see if we can go ahead and knock this out real quick. Let's get right into it. Starting with a 0.14 point victory for yours truly in what could have been a fairly easy Sunday night rundown out of Turd Ferguson. Only needed 5.5 points. Instead, he scored 5.3, and Ryan comes up just 2 yards short of the victory here. Pretty down weeks out of both of us. 0-2 for Ryan. We're both bottom 6, so I go 1-1. Squeak that out. Not much to be said here other than I traded for Puka, and he just joins the collection of players doing well on my bench that I don't start at the right time. So that's fun. Next up, an even tighter margin of victory. Chase wins by 0.02 on Monday Night Football. But I want to talk about Sunday Night Football here because going into the fourth quarter, the Dak CeeDee Lamb stack had 10 points combined. They ended the game with 47 points combined. In 2 drives in the fourth quarter, they combined for 37 points, both ending in Dak CeeDee touchdowns. This allowed the potential of a Monday Night Football rundown because only Najee Harris only needed 14.6, which he got exactly. And it was on his last carry of the game because after that they subbed him out for Jaylen Warren and he did not play another snap. Got exactly the number of yards he needed, then sat the rest of the game. This continues an extremely tough stretch of luck that Tim has experienced all season long. He has the 3rd highest score of the week and ends 1-1. He had a great week though. His team doesn't have depth, but 20-point performances out of Bijan and Jacobs. 15-point performances out of a lot of other players. He did well, just not well enough to go 2-0. And then next up, this game looks close. It shouldn't have been because Brittany going into Monday night only had the Steelers defense left to play and was in the bottom 6 looking at an 0-2 week. But a punt return touchdown brought her close, and then with 3 minutes left to play, TJ Watt got a strip sack that jumped her above Paul into the top 6. And then a last-second turnover made it so she only lost by 1 point. In the last 5 minutes of the game, she went from looking at an 0-2 ending to almost going 2-0. Also a big part due to Jalen Hurts' 3 rushing touchdowns. The tush push is out of control. Lou ends the week 2-0, a rare top 6 win for him. Big performances out of Marvin Harrison and Travis Kelce. Brock Purdy also had a big game. We'll see if this starts some momentum for him. Another Monday night rundown, and this one should have been the easiest. He only needed 6 points out of Malik Neighbors to get this win, and it looks like, oh, he got it easily. No. With 5 minutes left on Monday night, Zach was still winning this game. Malik Neighbors then got the catch he needed to take Brian above the threshold, and then got a few more garbage time catches to make it look like it wasn't close. But this was a very close game, mostly on the back of James Cook scoring 27 points here. So Brian gets a win with 97. He goes 1-1 on the week. Tim scores 124, also goes 1-1. That's beautiful. Next up, the Priors from the bottom of the table come out of nowhere, dropping the high score of the week and the stomp of the week, and moving right back into the thick of things in the playoff race. Devon Achane feeling the Tua buff now that Tua is returned. Joe Mixon has played well all season long. They have a good team. They even had 3 double-digit performers on their bench. So maybe this is the start of something. Who's to know? As for Paul, very unlucky to get a bottom 6 here. That gives him an 0-2 week, and that takes him in a tie for last. Kyren Williams had a big week, but everyone else just kind of had a middle-of-the-pack week. That leaves him just a bit short. And then we got to go back to week 8. Last up, potential for a Monday night rundown would have been pretty incredible. Skip had Pickens and Chris Boswell left to play. Lost by 13. Pickens actually had a touchdown called back from a holding penalty. He also had a catch where he got 2 right feet inbounds, but you have to get a left and a right. So that was another touchdown that he got called back. Then he had a third touchdown where he was sidestepping down the sideline, stepped out barely at about the 10-yard line. A lot of potential points there that could have gotten him the win here. But also, Skip could have just started Kirko Chains instead of Caleb Williams. That would have also got him the win. 3 quarterbacks on the roster, generally not a good way of doing things. We'll see if he makes the correct decision next week. As for Jeff, 2-0 week here, jumps into 4th place. Solid week all around. Kyle Pitts, tight end 4 on the season so far. That must be nice. Everyone just had a really good week. However, the depth on this team is limited. He told me he has pretty good wide receiver depth. I'm looking at it, not so sure, because he also just lost Stephon Diggs out for the season. So we got different definitions of depth, but we'll see if Jeff can keep this run going. Now, looking at the standings, just want to point out one thing real quick here. Brittany, 893 points for in first place by herself. Now, all the way down here in 8th place, Tim with 896 points for. This median rule change is supposed to help balance out the unfairness of scoring a lot but getting unlucky. Somehow that has not happened for Tim, and he is in 8th place with more points scored than the person in first. Truly unlucky, which is what we like to see. Now, that's all I got for this week. I'll catch y'all next time on the Commissioner's Corner.